I've worked as a nurse in the ICU for almost 5 years now. I've seen people take their first breaths, and I've seen them take their last. Most days, I'm fine. You build a sort of wall, a soft layer of distance between you and the lives coming in and out of the ward. You care, of course, but you also contain it. Otherwise, this job would break you. I've been broken once, and I'm telling this story now because I'm tired of carrying it alone. It was a Tuesday night. I was working the graveyard shift, the one from 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. I actually prefer it. Fewer doctors walking around, less noise. The kind of quiet where machines beep like metronomes, and you learn to tell what's wrong just by how the air feels. That night started like any other. We had a steady stream of patients, some stable, some circling the edge. You learn to tell those too. The way family members stand, the way the attending whispers when she leans in, the way nobody ever talks about hope directly, only about comfort or pain management or letting them go peacefully. It was around midnight when the EMTs brought him in. Male, roughly 60s. Cardiac arrest. Found unconscious in a parking lot behind a grocery store. No wallet, no ID, just a worn denim jacket and a piece of paper in his pocket with the name Linda and a disconnected number. He was gray when they wheeled him in. Not pale, not sick. Gray. We started CPR. We shocked him twice, and then his heart started again. Not strong, but enough. No visitors, no name. We labeled him John Doe, as we always do. And just like that, he became mine. I sat with him most of the night. No family came, no calls, no missing persons that matched. Just him. Tubes down his throat. Pulse flickering on the monitor like a tired heartbeat. Around 3 a.m., the ward got quiet. All the drama from the ER slowed down. The night shift nurses found their rhythm. And I found myself in his room again, adjusting his IV, checking his chart. Something about him made me pause. His hands were calloused, like someone who worked with tools. Mechanic, maybe. Fingers stained at the edges, old scarring along the knuckles. His face, even under the bruises, had this weathered kindness to it. Eyes closed, brows drawn, like he was thinking hard, even in sleep. I sat down in the chair next to him, for no medical reason, just human. And after a moment, I reached over and held his hand. It was cold, lifeless, but I didn't let go. I wish I could say I felt something, like in the movies, a jolt, a whisper, a sign. I didn't. I just sat there, holding a stranger's hand in the dark, with only the machines to keep us company. Maybe I was tired. Maybe I was just missing something I couldn't name yet. He didn't wake up that night. By 7 a.m., my shift ended. I handed off the chart. Told the next nurse to monitor his blood pressure. It had been low most of the night. Before I left, I walked back into his room, looked at him one last time, and whispered, "Hang in there, okay?" I don't know why I said that. He didn't even know I was there. I went home, showered, and slept the sleep of the emotionally exhausted. But when I woke up around noon, I found myself thinking about him again. That wasn't rare. Sometimes certain patients just stay with you. Usually the ones with no names, no family, no story. They become blank pages, and your brain tries to fill them in. I made a mental note to check in on him when I got back that night. But when I clocked in, the first thing I heard at the nurse's station was, "John Doe is declining." My stomach twisted. I didn't even realize I was holding my breath. "Still unresponsive?" I asked. One of the RNs nodded. "Vitals are dropping. Neuro's not hopeful. Still no ID." I asked to take him again that night. Nobody objected. It's strange how quickly a person becomes yours in this job. Not in a legal sense, obviously, but emotionally. He became my patient, my responsibility, and more than that, my mystery. I started talking to him, quietly, while checking his stats, changing his dressings, adjusting his fluids. I told him about my cat, Benny, about my annoying neighbor who blasts EDM at 2 a.m. I told him how tired I was of microwaved dinners, how my mom keeps texting me quotes from church. I don't know why. He couldn't hear me, or maybe he could. At some point, I started calling him Jack. It just felt right. Short for John Doe, maybe. Or maybe just something about him. "Come on, Jack," I whispered that night while changing his IV line. "You can't just leave without telling anyone who you are." His fingers twitched, just once, but enough to make me stop cold. I leaned in, stared at the monitor. No real change, no spike, no muscle reflex noted. But I swear to God he moved. I held his hand again, just like the night before, and this time I noticed something I hadn't before. A small scar on the inside of his wrist, about 2 inches long, faded but jagged. I knew that scar. It hit me like a punch. Back when I was 10, I fell asleep in the back seat of a car while my father changed a tire. He cut his wrist on a rusted rim. I remember the blood, the way he waved it off like it was nothing. I remember his hand, rough, calloused, warm. I let go of the man's hand and stepped back. No, it couldn't be. My father died when I was 12. Drunk driving accident. Car flipped and burned. Closed casket. No ID recovered. But now I stood there, heart racing, staring at a scar I'd seen once, 15 years ago, on a man who had no name. Was I imagining this? I didn't say anything to anyone. Not then. Instead, I asked to see the EMT report again. Male. Approximate age, late 50s to early 60s. Found alone. No wallet. Wearing a denim jacket. Found in a parking lot on the east side, not far from where I used to live. And the note in his pocket. With the name Linda? That's my mother's name. I ran to the locker room and called her. "Hey," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "Did Dad ever have a scar on his wrist?" A pause. "Yeah," she said. "From a wheel rim." "Why?" I swallowed. "And, did he ever carry notes in his jacket? Like phone numbers?" Another pause. "Sometimes. He was old school like that." I thanked her, hung up, then sat on the bench, staring at the floor while the world spun around me. I didn't go back to the floor immediately. I sat there in the locker room for a long time, trying to convince myself I was being ridiculous, that I was tired, overworked, seeing ghosts in strangers. But when I finally went back to his room, something had changed. He was breathing harder, shallow. The numbers were slipping on the monitor, blood pressure dropping, heart rate weakening. The attending doctor came in, reviewed the chart, and looked at me. "We're close," she said quietly. I nodded, and for reasons I couldn't explain, not to her, not to myself, I asked to be there when he passed. She agreed. We turned off most of the monitors. We lowered the lights. The machines stayed, of course, but the beeping faded into the background like the ticking of a slow, steady clock. I pulled the chair closer, and I held his hand again. Just like before. There's a moment right before death when the body softens, not in weight, but in resistance. Like the soul is gently letting go of the muscles it held. I felt it. He exhaled. Once, then again. And then, nothing. The line on the monitor flattened. The room went still. I looked at his face. Really looked this time. The brow, the mouth, the curve of his cheek, the way his left eyelid drooped just slightly lower than the right. And I knew. Knew in a way that didn't need DNA or paperwork. It was my father. After the official time of death was called, I asked, maybe begged, to help with the post-mortem prep. The staff didn't question it. We do that for each other sometimes when a patient hits you harder than you expect. I washed his face, wiped the blood from his nose. I closed his eyes, and then I found it, folded and worn, buried in the inside pocket of his denim jacket. A photo of me. It wasn't a recent one. I must have been maybe 16. School dance. I had braces. My makeup was terrible. Mom took the photo on one of those cheap Kodak disposables. I didn't even know he had it. And on the back, in faint, shaky pen, my girl. Always. The rest happened fast. The hospital contacted the coroner. I asked to delay ID for 24 hours, said I was waiting on a family confirmation. In the meantime, I called my mom again. I didn't say much. Just asked her to come. She did. She walked into the room, saw him lying there, and broke. She fell to her knees, cried like she hadn't cried in years. Turns out he never died in a crash. He disappeared, walked out one night, drunk, left the car. They found the car flipped and burned days later, assumed the body inside was his. The dental records were inconclusive, but no one questioned it. Why he left? She never knew. Why he came back? I don't think I'll ever know that either. But I do know this. When I held his hand that first night, I thought I was comforting a stranger. But maybe he was comforting me. Maybe he recognized me first. Maybe he came back just for that. That's how this story ended. With truth, pain, and a kind of peace I never expected. Have you ever had a moment when the past reached out and touched you in the present? Drop your story in the comments. Someone out there needs to hear it. And if this stayed with you, like it did with me, like and subscribe. More real stories, bold, raw, and unapologetically honest, are coming soon.